Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Virtual Reality Show channel. My name is PHIA, and today I have a special video. It is going to be the top 10 tips and tricks for Vroid Studio. I have a whole bunch of goodies planned for us today to cover that's going to help you with your model making, as well as helping with importing to VRChat. So stick around and see all these tips and maybe learn something new today. So the first tip that I want to cover is about clipping. So when you have a model like this that's wearing a t-shirt or a jacket or anything like that, you'll notice that with some animations, it actually will have the skin clip through. In VRChat, this is also a problem when you're moving around your arms, so you really don't want that. And it's actually a very quick fix on how to get rid of this. You can go to Body Editor, go to your default texture, and then just erase it. Voila! No clipping. Clipping is completely gone. Next tip is I want to talk about clothing and how you can actually, in the sliders, type in negative. So right here you can see that for volume, this is what 0 looks like, and it's pretty huge, very bulky. So what I actually can do to make this less intense is type in, let's say, around -49, and voila, it is more sized. This also works for body features, so if you want to make, let's say you wanted to make your bongos bigger, you could also type, over the top numbers, which is something that I actually did over here. So for my collar, to make it more tight, instead of being just at 100, I typed in 110. And that got it a little closer to her face. The next tip that I want to talk about is white textures. So in Vroid Studio, you automatically have these textures that are all white, and then you have these base colors that you can actually change. So you can see if I wanted them to be green, I can do a green, and I can make my shade color similar and then maybe darken it a bit. So you see how that works. But in VRChat, you're going to see something like this if you don't have your shaders on. And for anybody who doesn't have your shaders on, they're just going to see these giant white textures, and to get rid of that, you can actually take this image and export it into Photoshop, where you can actually recolor it there, and then come back into Vroid, and let's set this back to white. I'm going to hide this, and then import that new layer, and voila, you have a colored texture, so you don't have to worry about it turning white when people don't have your shaders on. This also works for your eyeline and eyelashes as well. Alright, so this is a commission I worked on a while ago, and this is the pre-commission, so all I did was fix up the hair. So this is what the hair originally looked like, and this is what the hair looked like after. So I did two main things here. I retextured the hair and I layered it. So you can see underneath the hair, I have all of these different layers that give it a whole bunch of depth, which is something that if you're not sure exactly how to do, you can check out my Vroid tutorial video where I go over all those basics there. But I also changed the hair texture and got rid of the highlights. So how do you get rid of those highlights? Well, if we come back to this original commission, you'll see this highlights is kind of this gray color right now, and a lot of people kind of leave it on this like bright white or make it maybe like this like purpley kind of color if they have like purple hair. It just depends, but to get rid of those, you can actually just drag it all the way to black, and then voila, you have this nice matte look, which is going to make it a lot easier to get an actual highlight that's a lot higher quality by going into the texture itself to do that. You can see on this, I actually put in a lighter color in the hair texture here just to give the same kind of effect without overwhelming it. Now I want to talk about outline. So outline is on by default on your Vroid model, and it kind of has this like purplish tint to it. But you can also see on the hair, this has an outline as well by default, but you can actually change the color of the hair outline by coming over here, selecting one of the hairs, and then clicking outline. So if I changed it to something like blue, you can see how that gives a much different effect rather than the black that I had selected already. If you want to change the outline, then you can go to General Editor and then Outline, and you can see I can turn it on and off this way. But you can also make it really thick, and I really enjoy making some lines really thick with 2 C's because that gives a really cartoony effect that just looks really, really unique and really, really cool in my opinion. But you can also do this for the face and the body if you want to crank it up. There's a lot of cool things that you can do just by changing the outline. For my models, I usually actually turn the outline completely off unless I'm going for that cartoony look where I like it to be nice and thick. Now here's a fun trick. You can't actually make hats in Vroid, but I was able to make a hat for this Porter Robinson model out of using hair. And yes, you can make hair accessories using hair itself. So I'm going to show you kind of how I did that here. So if you take a look, I actually have this divided into 2 different layers. So the first one is this part of the hat, which wraps around the head. And you can see that I have the hair underneath it. And then I also have the bill, which kind of sticks out and has a nice curve to it. So if I click on this, you can see how I reshaped the graph hair to actually make this exact shape that I wanted. And then I went in and I filled in the hair. I made sure that my highlight was turned all the way to black again, just like I mentioned before. Outline I made sure was turned to black as well. And then on this one, I also reshaped, you can see the map, I made it nice and curvy. And then just to kind of dissect how I did it is I did it strand by strand, just like that. But yeah, I think it turned out very nice. I don't think anybody's ever questioned the hat in my experience before, so I think it turned out pretty good, and this saves you a little bit of time and effort. So if you can't find the exact thing that you're looking for to put into your model on Unity, this gives you a really good way of doing hair accessories without having to create something yourself in Blender. Now, if you remember before on this model, we went ahead and erased the mesh that was underneath the clothes here to make it transparent. And this is a really good optimization tip. So if I go ahead and go to export, and if I'm planning to take this into VRChat and I want it to be optimized, I can go to mesh reduction and erase transparent meshes. So what that's going to do is instead of just having it as a transparent mesh and then it's still existing there, it just completely removes it, which is going to save you quite a few polygon triangles here. On that same optimization trend, you can also come to material reduction and turn it down to 2. And this is going to make your avatar much more optimized as well by atlasing all of your materials together, which it's kind of pointless to have them all separate anyways, so you might as well just put them together as 2. There's not really a difference. Now on this model, I'm going to show you how to change facial expressions. So if you're familiar with maybe VTubing with your model already, then you'll know when you're making this face, if you start talking, it comes out of the jaw. Your teeth literally hang out of the jaw and it looks disgusting. So what you can do is you can actually change this and come down to joy here for the mouth, close it, and then maybe slap on smile instead. And then when you're making these facial expressions like this, it looks a lot more natural. You don't have any jaw clipping. I'd also recommend doing this for surprised and closing the mouth there as well. I usually like to hang it open just slightly. And then you can also adjust things like the smile. Personally, I like to crank it down to about 50%. And there you have it. Fixed up facial expressions. The last tip that I have for us today is I'm just going to take a plain male model here, and you'll notice that all the models have this regular like scalp that just is by default on. But if I come over to my hair editor here and I see a base hair, I can actually hide it, and that is how you make your avatar bald. If you do want to change the texture of this for whatever reason, you can come to body editor, texture, come down to default image, and you'll see that the head is right down here. There you go, that's how you can change the scalp texture. This is also good for female hair when you don't want any of the scalp poking through underneath your hair bangs or layers or whatever you've got going on in your hairstyle. You can just straight up hide it. Anyways, that's it for this video today. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the Virtual Reality Show channel for more VTubing content in the future. If you want to have merch on your model just like this one does, check out the link in the description and DM me your receipt after purchasing merch, and I will send you a digital Vroid copy. Comment below what kind of tutorial you would like to see next, and I just might do it. Also, I will be going live on Twitch right after this video goes live, so make sure you drop a follow and come swing by. I would love to talk to you and answer any questions you have about VTubing, so I hope to see you there. Also, don't forget that I do have a Patreon page, so if you find my videos helpful, you can actually support me there. Anyways, I've been your host, PHIA, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Special thanks to this month's Patreon members. And virtual VIPs, Dutech, Plukale, Lillian Sparks, Score Maller, and Top Waffle.